Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we're going to be talking about Gotham Knights in regard to marketing. I titled my video Dear Marketing, and I wanted to just address a little bit of what I believe the marketing has somewhat been like since this game was first revealed. Now, before I go any further into this, I want to preface this with a lot of the contextual arguments or discussions that we've been having back and forth on the Video Game Fight School community. First of all, I'm not entitled to any video game. I think it's a privilege to be able to see a game that is being made in a universe where you actually are somewhat of a fan of. And I understand that very well. The developers have not asked us for any money. They haven't, asked for a pre-order or whatever it is. They're just trying their best, diligently working on their game. I definitely get that. The second caveat that I want to give is game development is hard. I decided to throw myself into the learning of what game development looks like. And I can tell you that the enterprise of making video games, especially on this kind of scale, is insane and somewhat sadistic because fan bases are so demanding and the entire process is so much more difficult and so different from other entertainment media that it's almost inconceivable because a lot of the industry practices are actually quite secretive and behind closed doors. But once you start to peel off the layers, you're going to have a lot more respect, especially for a game like Gotham Knights from a technical perspective. So I get these two things, but nonetheless, we have to look at the way marketing has actually handled a lot of this, which, if not done properly or if not amended at some point, may hurt the work that the developers are doing to deliver this particular game. So this is the perspective which I'm coming from in terms of that. Now, here are a few interesting facts that we have so far. Since October 31st of 2021, we have not necessarily received a post, or there has been nothing posted on the Gotham Knights, page. So I would say it's probably been a month and a half, probably from the time I'm recording this video, since we last saw something. Another thing too is, fans are in a place where people sometimes will get a little discouraged. After waiting for such a long time, you go on the Gotham Knights Reddit and you're going to see a bunch of memes. You're going to see a whole bunch of different things, but there is talk that, there might be some news dropping soon. So this is something really interesting. So here it is. Amazing week. Honestly, good reviews, good talk with my core devs. I get to collaborate with very smart game dev people. So I guess basically there's progress being made. And Jeff Eleanor, I think that's how you say the name, Jeff Eleanor, if anybody knows the pronunciation, correct me, is saying that there's some progress happening. But this is his personal Twitter account, and this was basically 5 or 6 days ago, about a week ago. So this could mean something, but this could mean nothing at all, because at the end of the day, you really want the official sources talking about whatever it is that's going to happen. So I think in that sense, it's probably this parlay that's going on where marketing and developers are probably working in tandem to follow this official route. Now, here's what I think. I think somebody like this, who's basically the game designer, I think he's the managing director of the game. The game director is Patrick Redding. The creative director is Patrick Redding. And I think Jeff Eleanor is the game director, basically, of this game. I think Warner Brothers Montreal can give a little bit more leeway for the developers to actually make comments like these and actually provide a little bit more buffering in terms of their hints. This is, in my opinion, going to really open the doors for the community and for the particular nature of the developers to start having some kind of a conversation. Unless the developers don't want to have that conversation, unless they don't necessarily want to, in a sense, connect with the community, that's a whole different thing. Sometimes it's wise for a developer or a game director or creative director to kind of maybe just not comment on the game except what has been officially commented upon. This helps them so that their account doesn't turn into Ed Boon's account. For some of you who follow Twitter very well, Ed Boon's account is literally just basically flooded with all kinds of requests, flooded with all kinds of posts. I mean, everything is insane with his account, but I think he loves the banter. He may have a social media manager that helps him with it, or he may just actually run the account by himself. So Ed Boon is on a whole different level when it comes to how he basically takes, in some cases, the forefront of his, games that are under his direction or games that are within their purview at NRS. So that's a whole different side of things. And believe it or not, fans love that aspect. So I think if, whoever is in charge could actually allow for devs who may want to speak on things to come out and actually mention or comment on these aspects, I think this is something that, in my opinion, will probably help the fan base a little bit. At least that banter and at least that communication. Or if not, they probably need to then open up the doors for the designated community manager to do this job. You see, right now, marketing, in my opinion, is in a sense waiting or trying to understand exactly where timelines are, exactly where events, reveals, and all of these, in order for them to make the very most, noise out of whatever it is that they're going to say. But in the meantime, I think the developers can also allow for this flow and, I would say up-to-date mindset for the community at large, because it's things like these that really do get the community hyped and really do get the community excited, and at the end of the day can translate into a successful game. So why am I even concerned about the marketing of this game? What is the big deal about it? So in the hiring process, when this entire game was not even necessarily revealed fully, when they were still doing a lot of those little hints, I think it was in 2020, the beginning of 2020, I was doing a lot of research on Warner Brothers Games Montreal's website and looking at their hiring page and some of the requirements that they needed for the job postings. And I realized that whoever the community manager was going to be, that person's job was to actually keep the community in a place where they were happy and excited. And there was a language pattern used in the job listing that said the job of that person was to keep fans excited and wanting to log into the game every single day. Now, what that would take is a game that has a huge community emphasis. You can't just cold drop a game like that without doing a lot of community building up until your release. I think that's something that will really be helpful even as you're going into the game. Now, here's the thing. Perhaps all of these wonderful ideas that I've already basically, sat here to drop are on the blocks. They probably have, plans to do things that are similar. But the problem right now might be that, in all reality, they just need the game to be at a specific point before they actually can start to say, okay, we are confident enough to bring this to the audience. And I think this is where all of the tuggles go back and forth. This is the conundrum, or what you call I don't even know how you call it. It's a very weird balance that has to be played across the board for everything. And this is the biggest challenge with AAA games. You need top brass to approve some things. You need some level of progress before marketing can take the reins. And then you need for developers to be able to reach out and say, okay, we're at a really cool part. And then another thing is also changes and also modifications. This is a whole separate video which I'll try my best to actually bring to you guys in probably in the next few days, and we'll talk about stuff like that, because I've been reading some really interesting things from developers basically in the gaming industry and some of the interesting things that they actually talk about. But anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts so far. Do you think marketing can allow, at least for the developers of Gotham Knights, to start to take on at least some of the communication side of things, in terms of just basically keeping an open line with the audience, or keeping some open free throws of just tiny tidbits of information? And if the developers probably don't want to do that because that may not necessarily be their priority, perhaps allow for the community manager or community managers to start doing the talking right now, because there are very talented developers in that studio and very senior level developers that we know, but they don't necessarily talk much about the game. And I think it's a shame. It's a wonderful opportunity that can be harnessed, especially for the nature of the game that Gotham Knights is going to be. But like I said, talk to me in the comment section. What are your thoughts? Peace.